Alright, Brainiacs, buckle up because it's about to get funky. Hugo here, buzzed and ready. Let's roar and explore. No guts, no glory. Get a load of this, it's go time. Here's a brain teaser. Which building in the world looks like it's wearing a bunch of fancy shiny hats on its roof and actually sings inside those hats? Drum roll in the jungle, please. It's the Sydney Opera House. Yup, that wild and crazy sculpture by the sea in Sydney, Australia. Those roof hats look like seashells, or bird wings, or even slices of a giant white coconut, but like cooler. Oh, what is it? Basically, the Sydney Opera House is a multi-venue performing arts center. That means lots of different rooms for music, dance, opera, plays, and talks, all tucked into one mega building at Bennelong Point. It sits on a point that pokes right into Sydney Harbor, between Sydney Cove and Farm Cove, super close to the big city and the Royal Botanic Garden. Pause for a moment and picture it. Sparkly blue water, a famous bridge nearby, and a giant podium with steps like a stone mountain leading up to those shell hats. This is bananas. Numbers check. The whole thing is roughly 183 meters long and about 120 meters wide. That's like lining up a bunch of school buses end to end until you need a snack break. The tallest sail pops up to around 67 meters above the sea, about as tall as a 22-story building. Whoa, the structure stands on 588 concrete piers, some sunk maybe 25 meters down to the bedrock, like giant tree roots, but made of concrete, gripping the rock so the hats don't wobble when the wind goes whoosh. Inside those hats are different rooms. The concert hall seats about 2,679. That is a lot of tushies and chairs, and it's home to the Sydney Symphony Orchestra. And guess what sits at one end like a musical dragon? The Sydney Opera House Grand Organ, the largest mechanical tracker action organ in the world, with more than 10,000 pipes. Seriously epic lungs. There's also the Joan Sutherland Theatre with around 507 seats for opera and ballet. The Drama Theatre, the Playhouse, the studio that can flex to about 400, the Utzon Room for smaller shows plus fancy gathering spaces, and even an outdoor forecourt for big spectacles under the stars. Hakuna Matata, stages for days. And now hold on to your fur. This next bit is bonkers. Those roofs, people call them shells, but here's the sneaky truth. They are not true thin shells. In real thin shells, the curved skin itself does most of the work, kind of like an eggshell holding together. At Sydney, the roofs are made from big ribbed pieces. Think of a whale's rib cage with panels between the ribs. Precast concrete ribs plus precast panels, then all tied together. That made it possible to build these crazy curves without making a brand new giant mold for every single piece. That's smart, strong, and totally buildable. Oh yay, switching rivers, geometry time. The designers used one giant imaginary sphere with a radius of about 75.2 meters. Every roof piece is a slice from that same sphere. Why does that matter? Repetition. Same curve means the builders could reuse molds, like making lots of cookies from one cutter. It unlocked speed and saved coin while keeping the magic shape. Get a load of this. There are about 2,200 precast roof sections, each up to about 15 tons. An on-site factory made thousands of ribs and panels, and special gear lifted them into place while engineers measured every day. Early computers helped, crunching numbers so the next piece landed perfectly, cheetah fast and laser right. And the sparkle, more than about 1.1 million glazed ceramic tiles cling to those sails in two colors, glossy white and matte cream, set in a chevron pattern. From far away, the roofs look bright white. Up close, the creamy matte parts calm the glare so eyes don't go ow. And these tiles came from Sweden from a company called Höganäs that usually made tough tiles for paper mills. After lots of testing, they cooked up a special 120mm square Sydney tile with a strong clay mix and crushed stone. Tough enough for salty sea air, sun, and storms. Shine on roof hats. Speaking of storms, the team did wind tunnel tests in the UK. Tiny models went into windy tunnels so engineers could see where the push and pull of air would smack the curves. That data helped design the tile attachment so tiles don't flap or fly. Teamwork between wind and wisdom. Okay, that was breezy. Let's talk style. The Opera House is expressionist. That means the shape shows big emotions, curvy, swoopy like frozen music. It is not a boring box, it's a sculpture that happens to hold concerts. That look turned the building into a symbol for a whole country. Picture a postcard of Australia? Boom, there are the sails. It even became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2007. That's like getting a super rare sticker that says Global Treasure. Now, a little drama behind the drama. The design came from a Danish architect named Jørn Utzon, and he worked with super smart engineers at Ova Arup and Partners. There's a spicy mystery about who first said, "Hey, let's make all the shell slices from one sphere." Some say Utzon, some say Ove Arup, others say the whole team sparked it together. Here's the Honey Badger take. Whoever first shouted it, the idea only roared to life because architect and engineers teamed up like lions on a mission. Here's the twist. Even with genius ideas, building started before all the drawings were done, which made some parts need fixing later. Kind of like trying to bake a cake while the recipe keeps changing. Messy but tasty in the end. Your instructions, story snacks. First, the big podium of reinforced concrete went up, like a stone ship for the sails to sit on. Later, the shells rose using a wild adjustable steel truss, an erection arch, so crews could place each piece, measure, tweak, and lock it in. Day by day, survey data went into early computers which said, "Yep, good to go," or "Dude, nudge it a smidge." Bit by bit, arch by arch, the crowns met perfectly. Bear with me, this gets wild. Civil and Civic handled the heavy podium works early on, and Mr. Hornibrook took on the super tricky shells and the interiors. The job needed brains, brawn, and a bucket of bravery. Inside, things changed along the way. The big hall became a dedicated concert hall, not a multi-purpose space, and the smaller hall became the opera and ballet zone, now the Joan Sutherland Theater. That switch meant redesigning lots of stuff and moving stage gear around. Acoustics and backstage spaces had growing pains, but upgrades over time have helped. The point is, a building can be both a masterpiece and a work in progress. Kinda like learning a backflip. First wobbly, then wow. What happens there? Over 1,800 performances take place each year. Music, dance, drama, even giant outdoor events on the forecourt. The place welcomes more than 10 million visitors yearly, and a few 100,000 take tours to learn the behind-the-scenes secrets. Resident companies bring the arts to life. Symphony, opera, dance, and theater. The building is a hive. Time for a beehive of knowledge. Buzz buzz. Material vibes. The bay shines with pink granite from Tirana in New South Wales. Warm and rocky like a friendly cliff. Inside, there's off-form concrete that shows the building's muscles, plus Aussie timbers like white birch plywood and brushbox glulam that make the rooms glow and help sound bounce just right. It's a mix of tough and cozy, like a hedgehog in a hoodie. Quick geography nibble. The Opera House sits near the Sydney Harbour Bridge and right by the Royal Botanic Garden. The big open forecourt with the monumental steps makes a grand path up so anyone can wander, take in the harbor views, and feel like a VIP. The podium is a public hangout, part theater, part town square. That is perfectly perplexing in the best way. And now for a honey badger daydream. Imagine wearing one of those roof shells as a hat, strutting along the harbor, clack clack on the granite, seagulls going, "Dude, nice cap." Those curves remind me of seashells I once collected on a beach, each one different, all whispering ocean songs. That's why this place sings to the heart. It looks like nature, frozen mid-splash. Rapid-fire fun facts. The top of sail height often gets listed around 67 meters. Some sources say 65 when using a different measuring point. Either way, tall enough to make a giraffe say, whoa. The site area is around 1.8 hectares. The roof elements were post-tensioned, tightened like a shoelace, and then stitched together. And whoa, the Benelong restaurant sits in the southernmost sail, dining with a front row seat to the harbor sparkle. Classy munchies with curvy ceilings. Big picture. Even though the project took longer and cost way more than first planned, it ended up a world icon. Heritage listings stacked up. City, state, national, and then that shiny UNESCO stamp. Now it is a living campus of culture and a giant magnet for visitors. A lesson from the sales, sometimes a brave idea plus teamwork and clever engineering can turn problems into possibilities. Okay, now here's where it gets extra spicy. If you love landmarks, picture another famous place next. Imagine climbing something tall, an iron in Paris, lacy metal, twinkly lights, a gusty view from the top. Brain is packing snacks already. Ooh, that was a wild ride. Keep those minds tiled to new ideas, glazed with curiosity and matte with focus. Give yourself a tail wagging high five. Until next time, stay wild and wonderful. Stay curious, little one. Get in the zone. It's honey badger time again soon.